Alright, real quick, people on YouTube, I wanted to tell you I am now currently doing Twitch. Any giveaways or reactions, pretty much any videos you guys want to send me, interested in any of that, follow me on Twitch at ShoSaga_by T. Thanks for watching the video.
これがレクイエム。
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Sho back with another video, and today we're talking about Naruto Ninja Storm 5. Now, apparently Naruto Ninja Storm 5 has been revealed, and pretty much it's from a lot of credible sources. Pretty much everybody's saying that it's a thing, and I'm kind of curious to that. I honestly think that it is true. I think that it has been revealed, and people do tend to know about things like that really early. That's how leaks and stuff are born. But if I'm being honest, this really doesn't surprise me. Like Boruto in itself, CyberConnect 2 in itself, matter of fact, anime games in general, they seem to have this problem. It's very hard to create new and very exciting anime games. I mean, it is difficult, but I mean, if you want to go through an anime studio, you would definitely go through CyberConnect 2. They make the best anime games, hence making stuff like Storm and making stuff like Kakarot. And honestly, the Demon Slayer game was cool. I think it had a lot of issues as far as like the characters and content and stuff like that. And I feel like Storm games in general don't work with a shorter series like that anymore. The thing about Boruto though is that Boruto has been going on for quite a while. It has a lot of episodes now. If not mistaken, probably more episodes than the original Naruto. So definitely has enough content to make a game out of. Now the problem in that lies in that the manga, if you don't know, is coming out monthly. When I actually caught up to Boruto, like after 100 and some episodes, and started watching around the Kara arc, at that current time, when I started watching, the Kara arc wasn't finished. At least like the part with Jigen and the Otsutsuki guy, that wasn't actually finished at that time. So for me, it was kind of like, While I do enjoy this, it's like how many, if they did make a game straight off of Boruto, what would it contain? Like what would be the sections? Like at least with Naruto, the specific arcs. There's the arcs is going to be in every one of the Naruto games. What I mean is like when you got to play the original Naruto game, at least the Naruto Storm, like Storm 1, we really didn't have like a true story mode like we did with the other games. Mostly you had to play like games like Broken Bond and Rise of a Ninja, but since they aren't Storm games, we're not really talking about those. What I mean is that we never really got that original Naruto experience. But if we did, it would probably go something like Zabuza arc, which is the Land of Waves arc. So similar how they did in Rise of a Ninja, but talking about Storm specifically. Then we would go with the tuning exams and stuff. There's a lot of great battles in there. Then from the tuning exams, we would probably go into the finals arc, which is the Sand Invasion arc. So you'll probably go into that arc and with the Orochimaru and things of that nature. Then move on from there to like the final Tsunade arc. Now that arc in particular is a little bit of controversy because many people don't really see it as like, it's a canon arc. It's definitely canon, but as far as like the fighting and stuff go, it could definitely be skippable. You do have a pretty notable fight between the three Sannin, so I guess you really can't skip it. And a great fight between Naruto and Kabuto and Tsunade, but that would also be just content for the game. Moving on from there, you would have Naruto and Sasuke, and that would lead into Naruto and Sasuke, and that would lead into basically the final battle of the original Naruto. That's basically how the canon storyline would go. And if you move on to Shippuden and stuff, you definitely know where it's gonna go from there. As far as with Boruto, a lot of the anime canon, like there's a lot of anime canon in Boruto for one thing. And not saying that anime canon is bad by any means, it's just a lot of people want to hear canon, regardless if it's anime canon or not. They don't really like it. They hate it, honestly. And I can understand. It's just something in your mind that makes you think, oh, if it's not canon or if it's some kind of off-brand canon, it's not really that enjoyable. And generally, I can understand why. Because if you're waiting for the author, somebody whose vision that this is, that author, you don't want to see anime canon made by some people just trying to fill in the gaps from the author. But if you guys don't know what any of this means, let me kind of explain it in simpler terms. So now think about it as if the manga, right? The manga is the original source material. Some anime don't really have a manga, they're just anime originals. But the manga is made by the mangaka, which is the author, as I call it, of this particular manga, Kishimoto. So basically everything that Kishimoto draws. Now, in Boruto, they do have another author. And it's like a little bit of both. I think Kishimoto jumped back on the project. I'm not really sure, but basically this guy only draws once a month. The new author only draws once a month, so it actually slows down the progress in which Boruto can be made. Now, there's a lot of companies that want to use Boruto for a cash cow. It's the same reason why we got a lot more Dragon Ball Z when Dragon Ball Z was supposed to like basically end like really early into the series. Because it makes so much money and there's so much pressure to write this newer story so they can actually keep milking it. This, in a sense, makes a little bit of sense because if you have a very popular show like Naruto and it ended great, it had some issues with the war arc or whatever, but it ended pretty great. And generally, what a lot of people really blame on the anime is just something that may be like not canon episodes, filler. And that's where filler comes in. Like the manga itself is canon. Everything in the manga is canon. It's like the word of God, basically. Everything in the manga is supposed to happen. If it happens differently in the anime, it's not supposed to happen that way. There's very few rare sites where they've changed and deviated from the manga, such as like Fullmetal Alchemist and Blue Exorcist. But generally, think of the manga as like the word is law. And then you have filler. Filler is basically something that can't really affect the canon at all. Like it has nothing to do with the actual canon. You may see like characters get different power-ups and stuff. Like Naruto got a power-up in one of the canon episodes when he fought against the turtle. He basically got this very powerful Rasengan jutsu that he made. Some jutsu they used during that fight, which was actually filler. Now the thing about filler in anime canon that's so weird is that some anime canon episodes can be looked at as filler, but what really anime canon is, especially in Boruto, is that filling in the gaps that the manga don't show you. For instance, there's a character in the manga Sumire that's heavily shown in the actual Boruto anime. It's the one they call Class Rep. She actually is a technical character in Naruto, like in the Boruto manga, but you don't really see her that much because she gets a lot of her backstory from the anime canon. This anime canon basically has to work within the canon to actually introduce characters they don't have time for in the manga, because the manga is actually made monthly. And I don't want to really get into like a whole explaining the manga video or whatever, because me personally, I don't get it that well myself. I want to talk about Storm and how that actually correlates to making a good game, because yeah, you can actually add a lot of anime canon into the Storm games, but the Storm games in particular really only dealt with specific manga arcs. So that's a little tricky. Would they consider a lot of some of the arcs in Boruto that made Boruto so boring, would they consider putting that in the game? That in turn can make the game feel a lot boring, and then just merely waiting to get to the Kara stuff, waiting to get to Kawaki and to see that whole arc, because that's a great arc. So I don't really see why it makes so much sense to basically put in like the 7 swordsmen, which they might, because honestly that arc wasn't as bad as some of the other ones, like the Lord Mu arc, not Lord Mu, but the Tsuchikage arc, where they dealt with Inoki and Inoki died and stuff. That arc was kind of piss poor. The one where Mitsuki kind of ran away from the village. Also the other Onizuki guy, who isn't in the manga but did stuff in the anime, only to be taken out by a young Naruto and a young Boruto. That was a mess of an anime canon episode. Or filler. Honestly, I have no idea. I can't tell you which certain episodes are anime canon or filler. You would just have to look up a list for yourself, but it's honestly just a whole mess of things. But if I'm gonna leave you with this one last thing to consider, I do think a new Boruto game would be good. I've been calling for a new Boruto game. I actually made a video on it, if you believe me or not, about it's time to make a new Boruto game with all the car stuff kind of, coming to an end. The problem is, like I said, the manga is only monthly, so you have to include a lot of the kind of dry and boring arcs that made Boruto kind of the laughing stock of newer anime. That's not good. But I think all in all, it wouldn't really matter, considering that they can actually kind of spin it, cut down on some of the game, at least until the manga is actually fully going there. Hopefully they wait till the time skip so we can actually get that at the end of the game. That'd be so interesting while we're waiting on another Boruto Storm 6 or whatever they plan to do. But with that being said, guys, what are some characters you would like to see in the new Boruto Storm game? What are some things you would love to see improved in this new iteration of Storm? Would you like to see a whole another Storm series, like going from like Storm 5 to 6 to 7 within the Boruto franchise, or do you think they should have left it alone and made something new? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next video.
King of Zone!